Welcome to Ian Cinema, your destination for endless entertainment and unforgettable movie moments. Discover exciting films, inspiring stories, and cinematic journeys across every genre. Whether you love action, drama, thrillers, or timeless favorites, there's always something waiting for you here. Sit back, enjoy the experience, and let Ian Cinema bring the magic of movies to your screen. In this review, we'll explore the storyline of Fast Furious 6, summarize its plot, introduce the main cast and characters, examine the film's production and box office performance, and conclude with audience reactions and critical reviews to provide a complete overview. Fast Furious 6 proved that the franchise had become a global box office powerhouse, more than a decade after the first film was released. Universal Pictures' Fast Furious series had evolved into one of Hollywood's biggest action franchises. The sixth installment made an incredible impact, earning more than $300 million worldwide during its opening weekend. Released over the Memorial Day holiday, Fast Furious 6 delivered a record-breaking domestic opening, collecting an estimated $120 million over the four-day weekend. The film achieved this impressive milestone while facing direct competition from The Hangover Part 3, which underperformed with approximately $51.2 million during the same holiday period. Another major release, Epic, Fox's animated adventure film, exceeded expectations by earning an estimated $42.6 million over 4 days. With limited family-oriented animated films in theaters during the previous 3 months, Epic attracted a large family audience and also performed strongly overseas. The overall Memorial Day weekend box office crossed $300 million for the first time in history, making it one of the biggest holiday weekends ever for movie theaters. Universal executives celebrated the outstanding success of Fast Furious 6, which became one of the studio's strongest openings. The film ranked as the fourth highest Memorial Day weekend opening at the time, trailing only Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and X-Men: The Last Stand. Although the Fast Furious franchise had traditionally appealed more to action fans than family audiences, the remarkable opening demonstrated that its popularity had expanded significantly. Other successful holdovers during the holiday weekend included Star Trek Into Darkness, which earned about $47 million through Monday, bringing its domestic total to approximately $155.8 million after 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Iron Man 3 continued its impressive run, adding roughly $24.4 million over the weekend and surpassing $370 million domestically while maintaining enormous international success. Internationally, Fast Furious 6 was even more dominant. The film earned approximately $160.3 million from 59 international markets, making it Universal's biggest overseas opening at the time and surpassing the international debut of Fast 5, which had previously opened with around $125 million overseas. Within just a short period, the film's international total climbed close to $200 million. The United Kingdom delivered one of the strongest performances, where the film debuted at number 1. Australia and New Zealand also contributed nearly $10 million combined during the opening weekend. Warner Bros. Continued expanding the release into additional markets over the following weeks, further increasing the film's worldwide earnings. Despite competing directly with The Hangover Part 3, which targeted a similar young adult audience, Fast Furious 6 comfortably dominated the box office. The head-to-head competition highlighted the strength and lasting appeal of the franchise, proving that audience interest showed no signs of slowing down. Universal was so confident in the franchise's continued success that it had already scheduled Fast Furious 7 for release on July 11, 2014. Industry analysts noted that every new installment continued to exceed expectations, particularly in international markets. Since the original film debuted in 2001, the franchise's global popularity had grown dramatically. Fast 5 alone earned more than $460 million overseas, nearly doubling the international earnings of the 2009 installment and confirming that the series had become one of the world's most successful action franchises. Overall, Fast Furious 6 reinforced the franchise's reputation as a global blockbuster. With thrilling action, an established cast, an exceptional box office performance, the film proved that the Fast Furious series remained one of Universal Pictures' most valuable and successful franchises. The buzz surrounding Fast Furious 6 was impossible to ignore. Universal Pictures' international distribution team reported that the film delivered an outstanding performance across global markets, with particularly strong results throughout South America and the Midwest. The film opened at number 1 in every major market where it was released. Internationally, Russia led the way with an impressive $17.8 million, while Mexico, Germany, and France each earned more than $10 million during the film's first 3 days. Overseas audiences embraced the action-packed sequel, helping it become one of Universal's biggest international openings. Meanwhile, Sony Pictures Classics' romantic drama Before Midnight also enjoyed a successful limited release in North America. The film earned a healthy 4-day per theater average of approximately $64,383 across just 5 locations. Starring Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, the film was estimated to earn around $321,940 through Monday, demonstrating strong audience interest despite its limited release. Elsewhere at the box office, Star Trek Into Darkness continued to perform well, adding approximately $15 million over the 4-day holiday weekend. The film collected around $2.4 million from 712 locations, although that was a slight decline compared to the previous weekend when it played in 916 theaters. The biggest story of the weekend, however, belonged to Fast Furious 6. The film earned an outstanding $117 million domestically over the Memorial Day holiday and another $158 million internationally, making it the biggest global opening in Universal Pictures history at the time. The 4-day Memorial Day weekend also set a new box office record, with total ticket sales reaching approximately $340.2 million. Surpassing the previous record of $276.75 million set in 2011. More than 1/3 of that total came from Fast Furious 6 alone. The film stars Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Michelle Rodriguez, Dwayne Johnson, and a diverse international cast. The story follows Dom's crew as they team up with law enforcement to track down a dangerous international criminal organization, leading to high-speed chases, explosive action, and thrilling adventures across multiple countries. Many critics noted how remarkable the franchise's comeback had been. After the 3rd film, many believed the series had lost its momentum. However, the filmmakers successfully reunited the original cast, giving the franchise fresh energy while expanding its scale and global appeal. Industry experts also pointed out that setting much of the story overseas helped attract international audiences. The filmmakers intentionally broadened the franchise's scope, making it feel larger and more exciting than ever before. Universal's head of distribution credited the film's success to its evolution. She explained that Fast Furious 6 had become much more than a street racing movie, praising both the cast and filmmakers for taking the franchise to an entirely new level. By that point, the Fast Furious franchise had earned nearly $1.9 billion worldwide, although it had not yet reached the lifetime earnings of major franchises such as Harry Potter, Transformers, or Iron Man. Its growth was considered remarkable. The Harry Potter series had generated approximately $7.7 billion worldwide, while the Transformers films had earned around $2.67 billion globally. Iron Man 3, released just a month earlier, had already helped the Marvel franchise surpass $2.36 billion worldwide. Despite those comparisons, industry analysts emphasized that the success of Fast Furious was especially impressive because the franchise had nearly faded away after its early installments. Over the course of 12 years, it transformed into one of Hollywood's biggest action franchises. A recent audience survey revealed that 93% of viewers who purchased tickets for Fast Furious 6 were already looking forward to the 7th installment, which was scheduled to feature returning cast members and continue the story. According to box office reports compiled by Hollywood.com and other industry sources, Fast Furious 6 dominated theaters across the United States and Canada during the Memorial Day weekend. The film topped the North American box office with approximately $98.5 million during the weekend alone, firmly securing its place as the #1 movie in America. The action blockbuster starring Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson debuted at the top of the box office. It was followed by the comedy The Hangover Part 3, which earned $42.4 million in its opening weekend. Star Trek Into Darkness claimed third place with $38 million, while the animated adventure epic, featuring the voices of Bianca Tilda Copyright and Pitbull, secured fourth with $34.2 million. Iron Man 3 rounded out the top 5 highest-grossing films of the weekend in the United States. Fast Furious 6 box office performance following the massive worldwide success of Fast 5 in 2011. The Fast Furious franchise returned in 2013 with its 6th installment, Fast Furious 6. Expectations were incredibly high, and the film delivered exactly what fans and critics had hoped for by setting a new benchmark for the franchise. Director Justin Lin once again played a major role in the series' continued success. The film featured an impressive ensemble cast, including Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Dwayne Johnson, Jordana Brewster, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Kang, Gal Gadot, Luke Evans, and Jason Statham in a memorable cameo. Let's take a look at some of the most interesting box office facts about the film. When it comes to Hollywood, audiences have always loved seeing their favorite fictional heroes return in sequels, prequels, and spin-offs. That's the enduring appeal of movie franchises. After all, why should an exciting story end with just one film? Over the years, cinema has introduced countless franchises that keep audiences eagerly waiting for the next installment, as if it were one of the most anticipated events of the year. Whether it's a sequel, a prequel, a spin-off, or a reboot, these franchises have kept us hooked in ways we could never have imagined. Without further ado, here are some of the greatest movie franchises that offer a journey far beyond a single film. James Bond, with 24 films released over nearly 6 decades, and the 25th film arriving shortly afterward. The James Bond series remains one of the most iconic and successful movie franchises ever created. No matter who has portrayed the legendary British spy as Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, or Daniel Craig, James Bond has continued to captivate audiences around the world. Every installment delivers thrilling action, unforgettable villains, exotic locations, cutting-edge gadgets, and the timeless style of Agent 007. Who doesn't enjoy watching the impeccably dressed secret agent step out of his Aston Martin, order a vodka martini shaken, not stir it, and save the world in spectacular fashion? After a 5-year wait, fans were thrilled to see Daniel Craig return for one final mission as James Bond in No Time to Die. It was a fitting conclusion to his remarkable run as the world's most famous secret agent, and the excitement surrounding the film was truly unmatched. Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Although dinosaurs had fascinated people for generations through books and history, it was acclaimed director Steven Spielberg who truly brought them to life on the big screen with Jurassic Park in 1993. Based on Michael Crichton's best-selling novel, the film introduced audiences to a breathtaking prehistoric world unlike anything seen before. Its success led to several sequels that expanded the story and explored new adventures involving these magnificent creatures. The franchise later evolved into the Jurassic World series, introducing a new generation of fans to the excitement of dinosaur-filled adventures. With each new installment, the franchise continues to grow, and fans eagerly await the next chapter to discover what thrilling adventures lie ahead. Fast Furious 6 held on to the #1 spot at the box office for its second consecutive weekend. The Universal Pictures release was expected to earn another $34.5 million in North America, maintaining its strong momentum after opening to more than $120 million over the Memorial Day holiday weekend. Box office analyst Paul Dergarabedian said it was no surprise that the sixth installment of the street racing franchise remained at the top. However, he noted that during a summer dominated by sequels, audiences were also showing strong interest in original films. Summer and sequels usually go hand in hand, he explained, but this is a step in the right direction for original movies. One of the standout original releases was the magic-themed thriller Now You See Me, starring Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Isla Fisher, Dave Franco, and Mark Ruffalo. The film follows a group of talented illusionists who perform daring bank robberies during their live shows and share the stolen money with their audiences. Released by Summit Entertainment, the film exceeded industry expectations by debuting in second place with $28.1 million. It certainly has been magical for us to watch these numbers this weekend, said Richie Fay, president of domestic distribution at Summit Entertainment. He credited the film's success to an outstanding marketing campaign and positive word of mouth from audiences. Sony's sci-fi adventure After Earth, starring Will Smith and his son Jaden Smith, opened in third place with $27 million. Although the debut was considered disappointing for the studio, Sony remained optimistic. "It's below our expectations domestically," said Rory Brewer, president of worldwide distribution for Sony. "However, we expect the film to perform much better overseas. We feel very good about its worldwide potential." The movie was scheduled to open in 16 additional countries the following week. Epic, the animated adventure from Fox, and Star Trek Into Darkness from Paramount each earned $16.4 million, tying at the box office. Meanwhile, The Hangover Part 3 followed closely with $15.9 million. One of the biggest surprises in the top 10 was the Bollywood film Yajawani Hai Diwani, released in 162 theaters across the United States and Canada. It earned $1.6 million, securing 8th place. "It's unusual, but Bollywood films occasionally break into the top 20 or top 15 domestically," Dergarabedian explained. "They usually aren't released in many theaters, but they still make a big impact." The figures represented estimated ticket sales for Friday through Sunday in US and Canadian theaters, according to Hollywood.com. Final domestic box office numbers were scheduled to be released on Monday. Fast Furious 6, 2013. A throwback review. It shouldn't surprise anyone that every time I watch a Fast Furious movie, I suddenly want to drive a high-performance sports car. Maybe it's because most of us don't own exotic supercars, and everyday driving simply isn't as exciting. Of course, the incredible stunts in Fast Furious 6 aren't realistic, but that's part of what makes the movie so entertaining. Story following their successful heist in Rio de Janeiro, Dominic Toretto, Vin Diesel, Brian O'Connor, Paul Walker, and the rest of the crew are scattered across the globe, enjoying the freedom their fortune has brought them. Brian and Mia are now raising their young son, while Dom continues to struggle with the memories of his presumed dead girlfriend, Letty. Everything changes when DSS agent Luke Hobbs, Dwayne Johnson, tracks down Dom with an important mission. An international criminal mastermind, Owen Shaw, Luke Evans, is leading a highly skilled team of mercenary drivers responsible for stealing military-grade technology. Even more shocking, Hobbs reveals that Letty is alive and working alongside Shaw. To stop the dangerous criminal organization, Hobbs offers Dom and his crew a deal: help capture Shaw, and every member of the team will receive a full pardon, allowing them to finally return home as free people. Throwback thoughts looking back at Fast Furious 6 in 2013. It was hard to believe the franchise had already reached its sixth installment. After the massive success of Fast 5, expectations were incredibly high, and the series continued to grow bigger with even more spectacular action, larger-than-life stunts, and an expanding cast. At the time, it seemed almost unbelievable that the franchise could keep getting bigger, but nobody expected it to be the most entertainment sequel since a digit the interior state ranking accept and focus on the action with these establishment characters we have gone to care about, and the Sumia things was telling me I was going to have a good time watching the scenes. Ida was the Friday afternoon opening dry after passing my English final, and Thea needed to celebrate with the man you tell her that wants to promise T-strong Ida wants to promise. Not only that, but Thea was the third sequel. We are already getting a strong start of the summer movie season following Iron Man 3 and the Star Trek Into the Darkness, knowing exactly what it is without certainty. Those who accepted Shakespeare quality of Fast and the Furious 6 just know how to please it. The Furious, it's an author movie where director Justin L and Thea screenwriter Karis Morgan change it up. This time period it's going to be more often the adventure for the team where the stakes area even higher to top where they brought it before, with a plot about finding the body guy to find. It's another movie where director Justin Lin and Thea screenwriter Karis Morgan change it up. How this time where it's going to be more of an adventure for the team where Slaxia even hydro to talk they brought before, but a plot about finding the bad guy to find a computer chip or something. Let's be honest and say not the most interesting things in the world to pay attention to a whole new level. Thea never thought they would be doing where it's not on. They might be paired, but when it's the bring someone home 3 not going back. Not everyone goes into these movie exciting to get a perform a plot. It also play on the tropes on how and the person hunting after our heroes needed to work together that we have seen time before, where it's now about trust now and they are going up against a crew Moria series than they are like before. Standa still does an excellent job at Thea directing, where he knows how to capture Rhea with the cool stunt and all, while still contributed and crank for the characters in the story too. I know the acting is not particularly the first instant when going into this film, but know that as the many claim to be mostly the Samia actors previously, and everybody has a great chemistry with each other making. I know the acting is not particularly the film instant when going into this film, but not that bad. Also many claim to be mostly the same actor from the previously, and everybody has a great chemistry with each other, making it believable that they are a family more than a team. The progression of a friendship between Vin Diesel and the pure Valkyrie is getting better with each passing film with that right or mentally, which makes their performance survivable without judging to Thea harshly. It was also great seeing Michael Jordan back again, since she did not do much in the first and the fourth movie, but she gets more screen time and explain her reasoning on how she live even if she does not remember who Dom is. And what can I say about Diana Josine? He saved the last movie with his inclusion as a hobbies and his skill again, and we see more of him. You already know what you are going to get from the Jordan Brass feet Tressa Gabby son Ludacris SK and Thea Gal Gadot. When getting more into Thea action this time around, Loki even as Thea film villain Anushka was not that bad either. Scenes managed to be more interesting than the trick Gabby Sona Ludia's Kang and the Galley Gadget. When getting more into the action this time around, Luke even as the film villain and Ashake was not that bad either, since he managed to be more interesting than Thea kidnapping in the fifth movie, since he know he can best Tom and his team with the code imported by them that make SMD detectable. But if you thought Thea action in the Fast 5 was cool, it was the line mission to make it bigger and the better, and Fast and Furious 6 Noah went up the ante and they needed to implement the primary goal. All you needed to know when you going to get your car chases and the fightings that I will more likely get you pumped. They filmed the car chases and the other action scenes with the particle effects. So once again was the incredible and the over the top 5 ever set pieces was just to figure out how they did that. In fact, once again was incredible and the over the top. Every set pieces was just to fight out how they did that, and yes, it's totally ridiculous to the point of the suspending disbelief. Disbelief? It's the 6th movie, what can you accept? There are sequences involving a Franken on a highway that the destroying every car inside, which follow up with an actual re-entry climbs taking place on a long runway inside and the outside the place before it takes off. Right there was executing to watch through how to, but all I keep thinks about you poor area rewatching and everyone has the Samia throughout it wondering how ridiculously long the runway strip is because the sequence runs about 10 minutes long and it has problem it's that the packing in the middle T and the middle TS to drag on down where there are time to bread everything and the humor surprisingly work because some scenes had me laughing occasionally especially from Kirsten Gabson and Delordius but I can see where some of the jokes would not land with the most people. The action sequence to some things make you think to where you do not want your brain to all a physics performance on how everything was planned out knowing full well that would not happen in real life. To be fair they somehow the biggest scenes in their trailer which was the bummer but this movie know that it's there for fun and not to be taken seriously. They already had plans for Furious 7 before this came out. And it go me executed especially during the mock credits scene. I was not expecting to find a twist in the timeline with fun of the previous film and the made for my favorite my credit moment of the year. The 6th installment probably does not get much attention as opposite to the other recent attention over the past few years. But this is certainly one of the better Fast and the Furious movie that easily in the top 5 and discussing of the cast as well as the final thought. Fast and Furious 6 high occasion action and it's the continual turning the surround makes for a fun summer popcorn sequel as great as the presenter not quite scenes. It's not the most extraordinary plot around or the kind of the dialogues that's the internally smart but the absolute right. There is a still entertaining follow yet but to please fans all around. Fast and the Furious 6 movie review. Okay, movie watchers, Vin Diesel, Puri Volker, and The Rock fans, if you have not yet seen Fast and Furious 6, because you are not sure about it, here it is, my review of this film so that hopefully it can help you determine whether or not you want to see it. About Fast and the Furious 6. Fast and Furious 6 brings back the interior family from the original Fast and Furious film with the addition of the Diana "The Rock" Johnson who reprise his role of the DSS agent Luke Hobbs. The film begins by giving us a glimpse into the ever-growing family with the brain corner and his wife Hamia on their way into the hospital to give birth to their son accompanied by Adam Durto. Meanwhile, Hobbs and his parents railway are invitations of former military special forces officers gone rush named the Anat. Hobbs realizes that they need help and he returns to Dom and his retail crew for the help. Dom is eloquent until Hobby reveals a series of the pictures that show Lady Kurtzel believes to be dead is still alive and working with the show, or Thies is the Dom old girlfriend. The seeds in the motion. The seeds in the emotions. A thrill ride that the garbage hold of the seeds in the motions. A thrill idea that the gar beats hold of you and just will not let go. My thoughts accepted plenty of the action and adventures. High-speed car chases and the racia crashes and the fight scenes. Just like all the other Fast and Furious film, this one has plenty of the each. There are also moments of the emotion that it comes through in this movie as well. I thought they are not overly emotional, so guys will still really enjoy the film. There is an also unexpected little twist except plenty of the action and adventure high-speed car chases and the race crashes and the fight scenes. Just like all the other Fast and the Furious film. This one has plenty of the each. There are also moments of the emotions that come through in this movie as well, although they were not overly emotionless, so guys will still really enjoy the film. There is also an unexpected little twist that happens later in the film. I won't play spoiler and they reveal it, but suffice to say it is a little shocking. Hint: don't skip the credits or you will miss something big. Just like the other Fast and Furious films, as some of the action sequence involves some unbelievable stunt that to me is a bit of a drawback, especially when they pretend to the storyline. But a load of the people seems to enjoy enthusiast stunts. I feel the fight scenes are incredible. So, what did I rate Fast and Furious? Overall, I give this film a 4.5 star out of 5. It is easily the best of the entire Fast and the Furious series. That say a lot. I have seen all of them, and I have also loved them all. So, stop wasting time and go see it today. Do you plan on the singing Fast and Furious 6A, or have you already seen it? If so, please share your opinion below. Fast and Furious 6 movie review. The entirety of the Fast and the Furious franchise is something that I have a great fatness for. The first film in the series got me hooked and it helped me to love every new characters. Therefore, I can still remember back to where my friend Brent landed me his copy of the Fast and the Furious on the DVD and told me that it is something I had truly enjoyed. Now, not being a car guy or even a big movie fantastic at the time, I simply took his word for it and popped it into my DVD player to my delights. The film took a financial yet based in the fact look into the city honorable of the illegal stat reacting that I was completely unfair from the first race between Dominic and the brain or corner to the astounding last race where Dom car gone sailing through the sky right after jumping in front of ascending train. I simply could not believe what I had just watched. This film had everything I wanted and more or less action, cool down to earth characters and fast ticket out of cars. Fast forward almost 12 years later and we get the latest additions to the franchise Fast and Furious 6, which is directed by Justin Lin, director of the last 3 films as well. Thrilling for a nice and the character-packed kept era in the series so far. The plot carries over from the setting of the last film where you find out that the characters of the lady is not actually dead. Lucia Hobby finds Tom and he asked him to get his team back together in order to go after a man named Anshia who is believed is behind an attack on a Russian military convoy using the larger that later is now alive and a part of the show crew. Hobby is always convinced Tom to team up and go after show. From that point on, the film turns into a series of the big action set pieces that not only include state races and other car-related events, but also numerous hand-to-hand fights. The addition of the Hobby's new partner really to the cast is very welcome. Also it inserts more female talent on screen with such a male-dominated franchise. She is able to perform some of her UFC movie in the most memorably dribble within the film as she and Lady go to in an instance show of the female royalty. The title of the film says it all. This is the most thrilling finale in the character-packed chapter in the series so far. The plot career over from the setting of the last film where you find out that the characters of the lady is not actually dead. Loki hopes find Dom and ask him to get him steam in order to go after a man named Anshopa who he believes is behind an attack on a Russian military convoy using the lavish dead lady is now alive and a part of the shock crew. Hopes Hobbs is able to convince Tom to team up and go after Shia. From that point on the film turns it into a series of the big action set pieces that not only included races and the other car-related events, but also numerous hand-to-hand fights. The addition of the Hobby's new partner Railway to the cast is very welcome. Also it insert more female talented on screen within such a male-dominated franchise. She is able to perform some of her off-cam movie in the most memorable rival within the film as she and the lady go to in an intense show of female brawling. Like all the films, the story is definitely there, but it takes the basis on the shocking value that are seen on screen. Both people and the cars fly through the air, Crackers exchange a gunfire in vase amounts and the explosive rock the frame in the almost in the atomic donation sort of way. This is a film where practical effects outweigh digital ones in a colloquial manner, and by doing so helps to engineer the viewer such more substantially than the CGI-written film as of late. You can note with the characters on screen much more because you know that an actual persona is risking their life to perform such a heartbreaking stunt instead of a computer-created image. That being said, the action is top-torch, but that ultimately can fix the third part of the film being filled with many plot holes and the gaps in the logic. I understand that this is an action film first and the form, but when a plan leading style scenes take around 10 minutes. The plan is the constantly moving at a high speed and somehow does not run out of runway within that time. It lalia start to bug me. Not only that, but when the characters having the opportunity to kill the antagonist and there is season of that no form is, but when a plane landing a strike scenes take around 10 minutes, then plane is constantly moving at high speed and somehow does not run out of a runway within that time. It literally start to bed me. Not only that, but when the characters have an opportunity to kill the antagonist and there is no reason of that and there is no reason they do not. It reminds me of the scene from Ida, reminds me of the scene from the Austin Powers Fear Doctor ever decide tribulations in an easily escapable room. Pick then braced him on, he does not just kill him inside. They may seem like the minor coils, but they begin to add up, and it reminds me that story is the unfortunately on the back burn for these types of the film when push comes to show and the everything comes full circle. I must say that this is the most entertaining film in the franchise up to this point. Adding to that, this is also the most comical addition to the series, with jokes being cracked at the leaves every 5 minutes which hit their meeks nearly every time, even with it the fault. There is a film that the newcomers to the franchise will enjoy and the long-time fans Fast and Furious how Jizz could have survived explaining a release him and the Fast and Furious have not going exactly hand in hand. Domitari's crew have jumped out of the skyscrapers to contact ridiculously hits and have even driven a car in outer space. Characters have embraced from the impossibly situations alive and also been brought back from the dead included Lati Curtizo Anja and the handler Fast act as now a resorted gallated characters Gazer Yashira after she fall to her death in 2013. Fast and Furious 6 deposit having fall from a plan in the middle. Grass appear deposit having fallen from a plan in the middle. Gazla appeared not to have success on the permanent injures. She was absent from the theater film following Fast and the Furious 6 for included Tokyo Drift, during which she was not in contact with the Dom's crew. With her sudden rival the Fast and Furious franchise has remained fans to not overthinking the film and to simply enjoy the ride. But for those who need the explanations for the Gazelle return, here's a look at how she might have been able to apply in the first acts the spin of the film. Hope has in the shop introduced superhumans to the world of Fast and Furious back in 2019 after surviving a bullet to the head from the decor shop. Brixton Laura received compacting enhancement and Thea become a super soldier as he was able to run at incredible speed. Dodgy bullets at the point-blank range and Thea punch through steel without the breaking of his hand. The hobbies and the Shah villain boss also bulletproof, leading to him the assistant alien of the Black Superman sign allies of the Black Superman. Gadot portray Wonder Woman in the Zia, but her Fast and Furious characters has always been humans. It's possible Thea has now been reconnected to explain how she survived the events of the Fast and the Furious 6. If Geezer has received some erratic enhancements similar to the Haas always being human, it's possible this Haas now be recommended to explain how she survived the events of the Fast and the Furious 6. If Giselle had received a celebrating enhancement similar to Thea Brickstone, she easily would have been able to survive her fall. It's also possible she was the receiving of a super soldier serum which could survive as a plot device in the franchise's final installment. F9 brought Hand back from the dead by the reincarnations his dad seen since the token draft as a setup by Mr. Nobody. What appeared to be hand trapped in Optimus at RX-7 was actually a hologram, with the hologram disappearing moments before the car exploded. The real hand for Ida from a distance with Mr. Nobody Thea's a crime. The scene was this scene as a pretty nifty magic trick, but rather than renting with the Dawn crew, he chooses to open the years leading up to Tymea working in the shadows. Geyser held hands a hand in the fried a gun right before her death in the Fast and Furious 6. So her fracking her death using a hologram can be rolled out without Thea being said. She could have used Anna and Ren that resemble her some things. Geisel's head hands hand and the fried a gun rights before her death in the Fast and Furious 6. So her saw her faking her death using a hologram can be ruled out, with Atto being said that could have used an Ruta that resemble her something akin to Anna LMD or life model Deco from the Marvel Agents of the SHIET. Vin Diesel has already revealed that a Fix and Thea sequel will deal with the topic of AI, which will be explored through a character he hopes Robert Downey Jerry will play. Perhaps Geisel was involved with the character's AI projects during her time of Karina. The idea that Geisel used a night to fake her death might sounding ridiculously, but her returning after Fast and Furious 6 is even more so if Dutch is used to explain how she survived. Thea franchise might use to simply bring a skilled back and do nothing with Thea afterwards. Hologram would be useful in many different situations, and yet Thea have never been utilized in the FESA other than to fake death. The antagonist of Fast and Furious 6 on Shaw was thrown from a movie plan and hit the runway. He separate series injured and was forced to sit out Furious 7, but by the Fast of the Furious he had recovered. He had recovered and went on to help rescue Wea Thompson from the chipper. Fast and the Furious 11 and 12 could potentially reveal that Geisel, like the old, simply survive and waste no time in trying to make it make sense. What she has been doing in between Fast and Furious 6 and the first acts, and why she never connected to Dawn crew, is the more important than how she has survived. Ron was clearly divested when the Geyser died, so he could not have internally know that she survived. Key events of Fast and Furious 6. However, he could have learned about her survival at any time afterwards. Ron kept his survival a secret from his friends for the survival years, so he likely would have had no problem keeping Geisel's state a secret as well. F9 features a flashback of Thea Mr. Nobody, implying that he had faked the people beforehand, leaving the door open for one of those people to be the Geisel, at Thea being a Fast Acts Roman DMC and Thea each forge as hand used the dating app. He appeared to not be very interesting, which could have been because he knew that Geisel was still at the pink of that first ex Mina Ramsey and the Dicha as hand use a dating app. He appeared to not be very interesting, which could have been because he knew that the Geisel was still alive. Having bought hand and Thea Geisel work for Mr. Nobody would be the best way of connecting the two characters after birth of their deaths to protect the people around them, and they ensure the security of their missions. They may have had little to no control over the years, setting the stage for a senior in the Fast and Furious 11, 8 and 12. Why do Hobbies and the Turtle stand side by side during the final scenes? In the final scenes of The Furious 6, aka the First and the Furious 6 Hobbies, Diana The Rock join and The Torito Vine Desert enjoy a party, enjoy a private moment where they awkward say a thank you and explain some mutual respect. The blocking where the area standing in this scene seems quite international but very weird. The two muscles bounce star don't face in each other. They stand alongside each other but tracking in the opposite directions. This gives the scene a super awkward feeling, plus creates optical elevations in certain shoots where the Hobbies looks tiny or badly green screened. Can anyone explain the logic, meaning or resounding for this odd blocking a moment in an otherwise movie? I see Thea true in sitting even in this story also being the moments when Hobbies approach Tom with a new job and tells him his girlfriend lady is still alive. However, the timing is a little early here. Timey-wise, the moment when the team assembly and Dom tells Brain about Lady is the training point in the first act. However, when you have a story which has so many primary characters at this one, There are often quite a few meaning in a connecting even as the conflict bumps into one characters after another. First to plot points, the team image the master villain saw for the first time but ends up losing him. Dom finds lady only to have her shoot him. Thea tangles with the show. All thought obviously the first plot points is not a great example in itself of Thea characters leaving their first act a normal would, but Dom getting shootified by the woman he loves is a great moment that to decide backups Thea action and forces the character into uncharted territory. First pinch point a survival of the Dom team members engage a little in short man Dom's team isopad soundly and the Letty escape. Thea does a nice job. This does a nice job of passing both the physical and the personal stakes. The plot runs thanks to the new information pickup during Thessy scenes included. Shaw works with the damsel drugs running enemy Brosman point in many ways. The scene in the which Brain inflating the American version to talk to Bernd, in which Bert tells Nina which Bert tells him has the enemy's ISIS set up to be the main point. Television as such it's a poor one since the information is new to a Brain but not to the audience. The following stamps scenes in which Tom and the lady states is much better. It does not offer much new information either but at least it movie the plot by showing the effect of the lady enemies on both her and the Tom. Second a pitch point. Shaw falls storm on Tico by going after the military convey the ISA moving the computer pieces he needs inside of feeding the base as expected from here on out. It's action all the while which definitely sets up the third plot point. Third plot point after being captured false scenes of the victory for the Pantaganosa shown negatives his own release by revealing he has kidnapped my Domistra and the Brain wife. Third plot point after being captured false scenes of the victory for the Prognosis own release by revealing he has kidnapping Mia Dom's sister and the Brain wife. Thesa initially forces the characters into a place where the personal stacks are sky has climax. The packing is very tight between the third plot point and the training points into the climax. Almost immediately the characters rush to inflating the plan on Vicious escaping with climax moment. The plan crashes and the shark dashes and the shark dies and Don Mary Climley and Dom Mary clumlessly walk away with the computer pieces. Shaw wanted relevations hobby SQ hobbies crew paradins for Thea everyone so they can go home. Das inter my girlfriend 11 parks away so he can start over with a lady Fast and Furious 6 a spoiler ending so you have just finished watching Fast and Furious 6. You have seen planes and the tanks and the Flyosphere and the Pure Walker alternate universal girl clone and one of the greatest headbutts in the history of the human heads. You think it's all over the credit roll and then they stop rolling. You see a Marisai driving through the stress of the Tokyo. If you are a fan of the franchise, you immediately recognize the significance of the Tokyo setting and you can guess is that we are watching a sequence set during the Fast and the Furious Tokyo trip. If you are a deep fan of the Fanties, you recognize the crystal importance of what we are about to see. This is the scene where Han Song dies. Sung ties. Han has been alive in the latest few movie constantly at Tokyo Drive. If you are a deep fan of the franchise, you recognize the crucial importance of what we are about to see. This is the scenes where Han Song dies. Han has been alive in the latest few movies constantly tearing a movie Tokyo. Now he is finally done it. And there are twists here. In Tokyo Drive and it was taken away from the Draft King where he was hit apparently by accident by my side this time through Vi who also driving the Mercedes and we learned that it was not and the accident at all. The man who killed has closed out Fast and Furious 6 by making a phone call to the Dominic Toretto. You don't know me yet he says but you will recognize him. He looks a little like this. Yes. The rumors are the true and the rumors were the awesome Jason Statham star of the Transporter Territory star of the Clanitude. Jan will accredited British personas join the Fast's detail are scary about the precious nature of his role in the next installment, though it does not take a rocket science to guess that Statham is playing the brother of Thea now dad and Shaw not a mention brother in an earlier scene in the Far 6. The internet has generally agreed to call him an Inshallah. All thought it clearly benefit Kim Shaw would be more appropriate than blacker for the future of Thea franchise. Our huge fast is quickly becoming the news of all modern action. A movie between Trick Gabbing Son and Thea Jose Statham. It has glarized that the other two contemporary car franchisee Transformers and the Transporter will also creating the incredible link to the stiff other gangs of the hero franchisees the Expandables. The conclusions of the Fast and Furious 6 provide a graceful exact for Thea direct. Justin Lin will join Thea franchise with a Tokyo draft. When asked about the ending by every line, I was very happy with it. The full Jason Statham of it all. Ida feels good to be able to hand off on a positive note with the Statham joining of the cast. The Will Jose Statham of Ida would be a great name for Thea's Statham biography. On a positive note, with the Statham joining the cast, Thea Will Josine Statham of Ida would be a great name for a Statham biography. Likewise, when we asked Diana Josine about the possibility of the Leo hobby as the picking off Thea against the Transporter, he said simply, the idea of seeing him and myself on screen going at is very intriguing and very interesting to style head full of Clyde's extraordinary. Well then, he added, the less simply my personal message to that person is pack a lunch because it be an often day affair. Present Fast Savina will be at least prior of a movie. Also the remains member of the Dorito gangs come out of retreatment to a stand falling or hand unless maybe Brother Shaw will be hunting them down, forcing the Turtoa tribal to go on. Thea will Steth characters have these own countries of car driving bad place as the bases. Does this mean so that there is going to be a climatica fight scenes where Statham and Thea Diesel and the Josen have a shirtless shape head a biscuit to idly on a Skyping all tanker that is the exploding a fellow Fast and the Fantastic? What do you think of the ending? Where does a dusty thumb reveal rank in the historia of the post-credit sequel tease? What other contemporary action star would you like to see in the franchise? Mila Joing as a mysterious Eastern European spy with a crazy car. Tony J as a mysterious and a crime bull with a crazy car. S.B. Nasa the Shaw brothers' evil Uncle Bunshot. Do they want to go fast? Yes indeed. Your auto insurance policy probably has clashes specifying whether you're covered by the damage from the missiles of failing objects. Your Civil War earthquake hazard occasions conventions a discharge of unclear weapon. Bet Ida time once again to check that it's also addresses whether you are insured against accidentally driving onto the set of a Fast and Furious 6 movie. If you blend into the shooting of Fast and Furious 6 safer intense, you are almost surely walking now. If the film you car over space data did not drag your vehicles, the game trunk surely did. Most of the familiar faces are back for these ladies. Back mild of Thea raceless driving included Dwayne Johnson also dramatic Turto. Turto is realizing if you blundered into the shooting of Fast and Furious 6 for intense you are almost surely walking now. If the film you car over speed stair did not cure the vehicles the game trunk surely did. Most of the familiar faces are back for this latest bank of the reckless driving included Vin Diesel as Dominic Torito is relaxing in the fire-weather retirement living off the big squirrel fat. The previous movie in the franchise is called Back into the Survive as Ida were by Luke Hobbies the friendly legend who bought pushes and they admire him and his hand the recognize Hope Sisa again played by Diana and Josine and his basic enough camera time that you accept Thea closing credit to include you accept a closing credit to include 2 arm bunker less fun for each. Mr. Jose Haas has seemingly been in every movie relies in the last 2 years and has a hobbies Isa again played by Diana Josine and his boss Ida and his spice sips which get in a camera time that you accept the closing credit to include 2 arm wrestling have been in every movie relies in the last 2 years and has a really television soul. Television saw the hero coming on but he knows how to deploy his half a dozen experiences lay grind the single libro and is still a welcome slide where other actors might have by this point to be the overexposed. He also does not headache this movie the while these characters did not. The recent Gia Joe relationship Fast and the Furious 6 is still primarily about Theaterito and his buddies. It is no spoiler to say that Michael recognized a seemingly like-off in an earlier film and returned as the Lady or Nice. She is in the opening credits Tara as the nail love. Instead the gimping here is that she now working for the opposing Fast and Furious 6 is still primarily about Turtle and his buddies. It is no spoiler and his parties. It is no spoiler to see that Michael Ray is seemingly killed off in an earlier film written as the Lady Artist. She is in the opinion credits Dorito as the nail's love instant. The gimmick here is that she now working for the oppositions, Magnus led by the Unshallow events. And she was enemies and he does know to remember TTO. That provides just a good plot to propel the movie from car chase as it to car chases. The real question here is the whether Justin Lin, the director of this film and these of its presents, can top himself. The climatic sequence of his first wife involve a preposterous scenes in which he sends toward a gent bag through the street at high speed. Here Mr. offer 2 tickets. The bad guys have flipped cars, sleek machines for Maya-plated front ends are seen in which race cars toward a giant bank follow it through the street at a high speed. Here Mr. Lin offers 2 tickets. The bad guys have flipped cars. Slick machines armor-plated from ends are the design so that when they strike another vehicles it goes spanning through and it goes spinning through the air, and in a later chases Shanda the friends pull out of the formidably tank that runs away in the vehicle the encounter into the suicide scrap metal. These flashy smashes and a climactic sequence in which the good guys try to prevent Shia from talking off in an airliner by deterring their cars to it makes the movie a satisfied thriller right at least on a par with the earlier installment. A nice twist near the end is well disgusting and a good hints at the words to come in the Part 7, Fast and Furious 6 is accredited PG-30. Parents strongly continue. It's a danger driving clinic. It's the strangest driving clinic. Fast and Furious 6 review. The poster for a Fast and Furious 6 declared that Holly wrote it led to this, but they also led a home in this latest entry in the series and the last from the series. Invented a director Justin Lin for the no enemy face with a bankless take of Thea trying to talk Fast 5. Seriously. How many franchises can see their best film was the 5th one. Fury 6's Thea movie is little in the opening credits eyes to offer more international screening aims to offer more international scenery in the middle blocking car stands even and it started to bring the characters full circle while also setting up future adventure. That's a lot for Anya sequel to bite off to chew, but the Fury 6 largely pull it off. Even it never quite matches or suspends the rising height of the Fast 5. Still that not to say it is not a hell of a lot of fun. Fury 6 is basically round up the gang. The western pair outfields by Denzel Perry, Gibson and the Gal Gadot area the only ones who can help their former lawman and Venria chosen big as the DSS agent Leo Kobiza drag it down and even source criminal former British Special Forces soldier Saancha who is pulling off a series of distant autocentric crime, as the saying goes. It takes a thief to catch a thief. So Hope's approach his first 5 forces for help. Hobie has one very big incense for the Donatorito and his crew to agree to the job beside full presence so they can return to the USA. Don't blame Lady Michaels. Rodica is presumed that in the 410 film of Fast and Furious is actually alive and the surviving as a member of as the scene goes it takes a thief to the catch a thief so Hobby's approach his first 5 year falls for help. Hob has one very big incense for the Dom Dorito and his crew ought to agree to the job beside full parade so they can return to the USA. Don't blame Lady Michaels. Rota is presumed that in the 4th film Fast and Furious is actually alive and serving as a member of the Shaw gang dome and the teams to stop Shaw and bring Lady back home. While Furious 6 offers some new faces to the franchise included Gina Carano as the Hobbies as kicking partner. Really his primary focus is on the past and rebringing the character story as a full circle. Let's know the only blast from the past here. I want to see what else returns but these climax should definitely be. We have been fans of the series since the beginning. That's not to say Furious 6 does not also have the future on its mind. Some characters have reached their conclusions while bigger seeds are also planted forward might come next for the rest. The highlights of any Fast and the Furious film is of course the car since Fury 6 is noted disappointed. This disappointed in Thea's department but Fast has pushes the filmmakers. The highlights of any Fast and the Furious film is of course the car scenes. Furious 6 is disappointed in this department but Fast has pushes the filmmakers to make the set pieces even more gorgeous and over the top. Car devices out of the nose of a crashing plan for parts in this after a near 50 minutes long chases down what must be the world's longest seriously the sun is likely 80 miles long still is 31 movie to see this year where a plane is taken down by sports car and the hairpin guns where this is the only one beside that the climactic sequence beside other car action scenes are taken chases and the introduce of the shaft fill car there area some other car chases but they feel abide at a certain point. How many times can you see a car chases through London? These are moment or two where Thea speed. There's a moment or two where they speed into the rots or the round or roundabouts if you will where you did be hard present not to a hair class girls look kids big bun parliament in your head. There are few stables of humor that followed by flat as well as a few intimatial giggies hobbies ab micro dialogues and more than a few come on and more than a few come on moments to be had but the good and the fun outfit the drawbacks. Fury Fast and Furious 6 is a crew pleasure and the craft feed and extreme dedications to the canon. There are a few steps of humor that full abide flat as well as a few undimensional giggies at the hobbies and micro dialogues and more than a few come on moments to be hot about the good and the fun outfit. The drawbacks here Fast and Furious 6 is a role leaser and one crafted with the extreme dedications to canon. Seriously the Fast and the Furious has canon now it's a muscular and the often accelerating clear ride but the Fury 6 show that the series is becoming more like the cars in it. Turbocharge allowed in the movie deserves kudos for kicking the focus on its family of characters but the seriously is probably only good for one last outing before the tank's completely empty. Fast and Furious 6 existing slowly to brings about a genetic action sequence such as a tank speeding down. Fast and Furious 6 box office facts from being high crossing a FNF film to crossing MCU Thor the Dark Award. After storming the worldwide box office with Fast 5 in 2011. The marks of Fast and the Furious came up with it the sixth installment in 2013. Fast and the Furious 6 was accepted to set new benchmark for the franchise and that what did it Justin Lin continue to help them the super successful franchise as a director. The film had Vin Diesel, Paula Welker, Dwayne Johnson, Jordana Brewster and Tyrese Gibson and lead among other. Justin Lin continued to help them the super successful franchise as a director. The film had Vin Diesel, Paula Welker, Gina Johnson, Jordana Brewster and the Tyrese Gibson elite among the others. Let's have a look at the sum of interesting box office fact about the film. When it's come to Hollywood, don't we just love watching our favorite vacational hero in a parable or the sequel? Well, that's exactly the charm of the franchise film. After all, why should the freedom just stop at only a film, right? Cinema has presented USA with the countless movie franchise that make us wait for the next film like it's the most important things of our lives. Be it sequel paraquels a spine of order Roberties have hooked us to our screen in a way we could have never even have imagined. So without any further ado, here are 5 franchises that you can start watching to experience a journey that's why longer than the one movie. 24 films over a 58 years lengthy with the 25 movie just a few months away. If we were talking about one of the most popular movie franchise that makes us go crazy, James Bond Survival has to be at the very top of that list. Be it Gina Carano, Roger Moore, Rico Barson or the super survivor Dino Carrick, a James Bond movie. 24 films over a 58 years less with the 25 movie just a few months away. If we were ever talking about only of the most popular movie franchise that makes canal go crazy, James Bond surely have to be at the very top of that list. be it Scene Country, Roger Moore, Pricey Porson or the super survival Daniela Carrick. A James Bond movie nearly foils it to keep one at the adage of their CETA for more than just a British secret agent. 007 is all things gigs and Thea classy vest sequence, even evil villains in the execute locations. Don't we just love watching the man in a Ditsuita coming out of his Aston Martin to sheep Ivanka Martina that he can ghost ride? Oh yes we do. After 5 long years we will get to see the 25-film and Thea franchise featuring the beloved Daniela Carey one last time his November as his starring number 1 Time to Die. Safe to say the excitement in unreal. Safe to say the excitement is unreal. While we read about these creatures in our history book, it was the Steelra director Steven Spielberg who premiered us in the word of this Oscar with the 1993 8 film Just Keep That based on Thea Michael. While we read about these the creatures in our history book, it was the stellar director Steven Spielberg who embraced USA in the word of the dinosaurs with the 1993 film Jurassic Park that was based in the Michael Christrista book by the same name. What followed after that were four fabula took us to the parularia of Thessie creatures. Fans of the franchise are in a retreat or just a word. Dominia hit a screen next year with the marks revealing that the film won't be the final film in the franchise. We can't wait to see what lies in the show with the feature film. Fast and Furious 6 hangs on to the first place at the box office. Fast and Furious 6 has raised to the number 1 spot at the box office for the second conception weekend. The Universal Pictures is expected to add another $34.5 million to its North American ticket sales, keeping in it the first place after opening to more than $120 million over the Memorial Day holiday weekend. Box office analyst Pure Ridagan said the 6th installment in the estate tracking. Box office analyst Pa said the 6th installment in the Street Tracking franchise was parodying to be number 1 again, but in a season of a sequel 3 original film were among the most popular at the cinema over the weekend. Ordinary Summer and the sequel go together. He said this is a step in the direction of the Oriental box office. Ian Paul said the 6th installment in the Street Reacting franchise was not to be number 1 again, but in season of a sequel 3 original film were among the most popular at the cinema over the weekend. Ordinary Summer and a sequel go together. He said this is a step in the direction of the art of Theo gently. Among the new original offering was the Magic Herself thriller Now You See Me with star Mig Freeman, Michael Cana and Woody Harrison in A Tale of the Elevations for Rob Bank, and to share the spoils with their audience. The Long Stage Summit Entertainment release executed industry expectations to debut in second place with the $28.1 million. It certainly has been magic for us to watch the number this weekend, said Rich V. Long Stage president of the Domestica Distribution, who attributes the film's success to a brilliant marketing campaign and the positive word of mouth after Earth. The frustrated Capra gathering father and the son acting to Anwa Summit and the Jordan Summit OP net at $27 million, good for the third place, but still disappointed for Sony Pictures. It's below our expectations here, he domestically said. Rollerson, president of the worldwide distribution, but he ain't accepted it will play well other boot and they ain't accepted it will play well over, says we feel very good about the potential for the film on a worldwide basis. He still will open 60 countries next week. Fox animated epic and the Paramount Star Trek Into the Darkness tied for the monthly with $60.4 million each. Willie the Hangover Part 3 came in 5th with a $50.9 million. Also ending into the top 10. Also ending into the top 10 was the Indian film. Also ending into the top 10 was Indian film. Good for the 8th place. It's a very unusual, but the Bollywood films sometimes do crack into the top 20 or top 50 domestically. The Caribbean say they are usually not in that many theaters. but they make a big splash. Estimated ticket sales for the Friday through the Sunday at the US and the Canadian theaters according to Hollywood.com, where available latest international numbers are also included. Finally, domestic figures will be released on Monday. Fast and Furious 6 review. Suspend disbelief and enjoy it right when the 6th installment on the Universal Primer franchise feed to back. I went to the cities next to me and I taught him this. Interior City Ice Interior series is a great guilty pleasure, to which he promotedly responds, I am not guilty about anything, I love this movie. As you consider that for it, to which he promotedly responds, I am not guilty about anything, I love this movie. As you consider that for a moment he was on to something. Fast and Furious has moved away beyond the point of being something to feel guilty about leaking. Fast and the Furious has moved way beyond the point of being something to feel guilty about a liking, in which one box office surprise he went on to become one of the biggest action or 10 franchisees of all time. There's something to passionate embrace it if you are a fan, while still being able to see beyond its surface level of thoughts. Where most studio may turn only a success into a tragedy, this has become 12 years also beyond its original concept. What started out as a unique idea about the bonds made throughout Street Racing has remoted itself to be an action-adventure series where the idea of the family and keeping it together through incredible odds of stance and the obvious padding orientation is the paramount. It also has a water area where the principal star become outless, having to flow there. Mud started out as a unique idea about the bonds media throughout Street Racing has the remodel itself to be an action-adventure series where the idea of the family at keeping it together through the incredible odds of stance and the obvious bingation is paramount. It also has a Western mentality where the principal star become ours, having to flee their homeland the USA to avoid depressions along the way. Aliens area made an oppose emerged full of distant personalities. They were overall led by a Dominic Territoa, a cute best tracker who lives his life via by a quarter of a mile but values firmly and loyalty over any lucrative score, taking its spa movie title. The Fast and the Furious, and with its to the truth degree. We now arrive with the 5th sequel, Furious 6. This is according to the title card at the end of the opening, taking its PA movie title, The Fast and the Furious, and running with it to the 9th degree. We now arrive with the 5th sequel, A Furious 6. This is according to the little card at the ending of the opening credit. If you have stuck with the series since the beginning, then your ticket purchase is all about but abused. To be honest, I have got to trip my heart if I was wearing one to team of the director Justin Lin and the screenwriter Karen Smarglen. Lin came in on the board at the wrong time and directed the Halloween 3 entry in the series. Rada Wearer Hell in the Vendel in the Paul Walker with the Fast and the Furious The Tech Drive. This is the sequel that I am mostly forgetting, making it the readedest bird of the bunch, but together they made it work. The 3 interior Spiron in the linear arrival have been included in the sequel in some shape or the fashions rather than push line out and go through a revolving door of the directors. With the sequel 4.5 with sequels 4, 5, and now 6, Studio Universal has led rather than push line out and go through a revolving door of the directors with the sequel 4, 5, and now 6. Studio Universal has led line spared the series and see it movie in such a rising up half-fizzing. It would make the workers no false teeth-lated and getting progressively forced, as is the case with the most franchise line has managed to completely fine-tune its from originally models and spare part to create one of the best Heron-filed action movie franchise going to deep height just to shape the Universal is too eager to strike while the iron is hot for the 7th entry. Yes, Diesel and CO has not written into the sunstand just yet. Which is settled to arrive in 2014 July. Justin Lean is out and now James Fonseca is in the drive seat in first of 5, which could be best classified also the average of the F and the Fanches in terms of how line infinitely brings everything together. Diana Josine cameo on board as Luca Hobbies and the international efforts that Hossa in first 5, which could be best to classify as the average of the F and the Fanches in terms of how lean eventually brings everything together. Diana Josina come on the board as the Lucia Hobbies and international audience that has been a classing after TTO and his the criminal pose is ditching street wrecking in the favor of the Gynetic Taper movie help in the refinding the series making it a globe-betting adventure of the vehicles mayhem by the end of that film a do corner and the recent of the crew his wife Mia Jordan Prester who is ably Mr. Ililiana Neves Kazel Han Sola Roman teacher living comfortably after doing one last job but then hops Camilla back into their living with a partner into a railway and XMMA settles Gina Carano in need of his team assisting Ina the branding own shop and ex-British youngs Mesteller Gina Carano in need of his team's assistant in the printing on shop and expert special operative now master thief to give Dom a reason to crew hops and show him how some photo of Lady could court his domestic laws believe that if you saw Fast and Furious friends via series Lady Love. Okay, so Furious seeks operators like a soap opera with a lady death and the mysterious reappearance going with a noting the film pushes the envelope in waiting Huey it is supposed disbelievable when it comes to people and car physics. But Justina Lin is so surfed that he has total self-awareness of the characters, their motivations and making us believe the impossible to be the possible. J.S. Morgana screenplay is the generally ridiculous full of the quakes and the crack voice and gives off the apparent that the characters may literally be a beloved class of the average. One of them I even identify with the nickname Totally Indistable. The film has good rhythm throughout with a quick setup leading to the band getting back together before having everything go over the top explosive flipping cars and more harder brain chain games. The interplay of the characters' movement and crazy stunt allow the audience to decompose before a movie on the two necks. Oh, they are not going to do what I think they are going to do. Stand to letter L. Hetland spent the better part of 4 years cancelling a particular action sequence that appeared in Fury 6. I am that much more impressed with him as a director line from a great directing debut with the better tech with a better leg to more become a filmmaker that become very good at the shooting action scenes or car chases or cat fight content both it's hard to decide on why the series work as well as it does a larger part has to do with the whiny utensil he definitely has screen presence but it only seems to survive him in films like this. And as the character erratic in the Pitch Black the corals of erratic in the upcoming Radic Flying a Soul his film out-edited the most Lilia compared to Heat the Pulcher Experimento with the Too Fast and the Too Furious the Force. Oh interesting but this is the definitely Diesel franchise. It revolves around him and because his zeal for the family and togetherness he makes us carry for those around him that much more. There are moments where I got catch up and the action almost venting to delivery first pumps in the air with the admiration as impressive as the action is in Line Man 3. This is the better. While the final sequence is highly improbable, it is so well a standard that it revolves around him and because his zeal for the family and togetherness, he make us carry for those around him that much more. There are moments where I got catch up and the action almost waiting to delivery first bump in the air with the admission as impressive as the action in an AC Iron Man 3. This is the better. Will leave the final sequence is highly imparable. It is so well standard that is best to just go with it and enjoyable for what it is. It may not rival to winning a giant year throughout Raido Jr. and 4CF5. But it has the right bit of the attention that a laser action director would fall to achieve, with the right mix of the emotional beats and the impressive set pieces and stunt work. A Fury 6 deliver in this bin. It may not match the previous sequel, but the filmography will walk out with a good while for that the future holds in the store. Stay and watch the immigratidities that will mostly suit. There are moments where I got caught in the action almost fitting to deliver first bumps in the air with the admission as impressive as the action is in Iron Man 3. This is better while the final sequence is highly improvable. It is so well staged that it is the best to just go with it and enjoy it for what it is. It may not rival to winning organic follow-through a genre in the first 5, but it has the right bite of the tension that a lesser action director would fail to achieve with the right mix of the emotional beats and impressive set pieces and the stunt work. Furious 6 delivers the speeds. It may not match the previous sequel, but the filmography will walk out with the good vibes for what Futuria holds in store. Stay and post the great tease that will most assuredly have audience going bonkers. Movie review: Fast and Furious 6. So dynamic. A Torito and his crew are back. Lucia Hobbs, Diana Josine and his crew are back, and some new faces. Hobbs' partner really and villain on Chop. DD2 Thea Frenchie's ever-growing roster. I thought the waste number of the characters would be too much of a distractions in the last installment, and to an extent it was, but I like first 5 and I am happy to see that 6 is even better. The premiere is all but necessary. Hope's wrist Tarito Shaw gangs in T's arms declare Hosea goal is not particular clear, but then it does not need to be, does it? SH latest plan is to steal a military vistas that can cause his blackouts and his gang of thugs. That means you met them. Seems like the evil twins of the turtle, and it's credit to the movie cleverness that the city actually addressed the parallels and get some great characters in front of Roman did a scabby son and teach Todd followers food row, 2 fellows whose role Leah in the previous film were to stand around and wait for some things to do. Hope's carrot is a photo of the Todd former lover Letty knowing then to be softy that he won't be able to resist catching up all flame. You did wonder why she never returned to Callahan when he figures her dead. But apparently she under a nasty bond of the enemies, and Biga reveals she working for the Swastin or pure Volkerturtle brother-in-law has a baby. The rest of them have noted done much since they're big, she working for the short team said all corner T brother-in-law has a baby. The rest of them have not done much since they're big square, and the Rio safe spent their cash and the bacca in the Poland for those keeping count. Hans Kong and his gal Gazels round out the dress, so Turtle and his gang had to lend engage Sean his group and his group in a great chases sequence and discovered later among the near-do wells. Their usual explosive crash where Car's Shark custom job has a modified Q-catchers which he used to blast other Ethan out of the way or to stand over top of his own vehicles, and on an interesting weapon that Ansia shoot a cat which he used to blast other out of the way or the straight over top of his own vehicles, and an interesting weapon that once shoot at the hood of a car can be used to slim the brakes. It's a great idea, but it's never show up again. Shark gets away, Soto and Co go and are equal, leading to a great fight between Riley and the lady in the tea room, and the Shark stuck Jed mentioned Joe telling ya redemptions Joe Taslim in a 2B stations and a bite letter to Rito and let's square off at one of the London Underground raking events. Why Wina exacting is an oddity, especially since the characters often point out how there are camera monitoring every corner of the city, and then they're basically a movie like this exams for the action. The fact cars, the characters and the explosive fact, and the Furious 6 delivers. The story barely sticks it together even if you are to ignore just how dramatic but its action sequence are less erratic. Director Justin Lean has picked up a few things in between Thesa and Furious 5. The characters work together so much more. Well, they already work, but we get to spend so many more times with them, and the cars they were close to being one in our usually with just enough cleverness so that they justifies the scenes even when nothing in the script does for a series that good and likely is often taken off as big. Doom action. Few others who share similar discussions continue to improve, like the Fast and Furious franchise. It knows where it's going, and at every market it presses the Jeezy just a little harder. And please give Roman and the their own spin-off, Fast and Furious 6 review. When Luke's Hope has make this assistant of the fellow DECA service agent Trailway Hicks, he might also well be making anti-assistant of Fast and Furious 6. On paper it's got everything you could possibly want out of a Fast and Furious movie. Team Torito in full force. The written Offa the Michaels Rhodey guys as Lady a slew of bad guys led by Luke Seaven and an international setting that sees our heroes and the villains reacting all over Europe in one final ride with Thea Frenchie's Ventrin just in the list to go on. But just as Higgs herself was too good to be the trust is the same true of Frenchie's 6. Is there something missing about the 6th round of the Fast and the Furious action? For my money, I will say that I enjoy Furious 6 more than Fast 5, the close shine of the 2013 editing of the franchise. It's a more constant ride, entertaining all throughout each and every scene's worth watching again and again and again, but there is not a single moment hydrer than the Hydro F. No hobbies various tattoo matchup to speak of no Violetta Hyde throughout the stats of Rio de Janeiro. Those two scenes alone are enough to make the argument that the Fast 5 is best in the series. That's it. The lowest moment of the Furious 6 tail than a Fast 5 low. There's no dice, occasion 11 here. It's all speed all fury all the time where Fast 5 had to spend half his runtime positions the plot to bring a Roman priest type Parker Hansuo and Owen Gazelle Yasher into the mix. The characters are all in the place from the very first moment of Furious 6. Moria importantly hobbies himself and Thea firmly established. It takes no time model to remind audience about Diagos in a pure Ranabush shows as the impossibly muscle DSS agent his quags and onliners are the and the further between in his second Furious appearance though he still has some winners like Last Bleacy I Want to Be and I Want to Be's on Eurofriend's step sailing Scott cookies but not least he on Team Torito from very beginning affording Jose the opportunity to in fact which members of the squad he has not yet minded with his scene as with the T and the Roman for intense area the pori comedy god really in the mixing and the matching of the Team Torito a place that makes Furious 6 stand out from it the predexer hopes and the joint forces to purchase a bunch of sweet tries and make the salesman look and feel like the MD acquired champs that he is Han and the Roman get to participate in one of the close fight scenes of the series as squaring off against play by the right a redemption sweat and joke Taslim. Linanda the winner Carison. Morgan impairs the various dynamic at play within the Tortoa family not just Brian and the Dome and it makes the word and the characters feel richer as a result even if the particular lines of the brand of the band won't remain instant past this movie. While this parking work, they do come at the expense of the Dom and the Brianna dynamic. Their friendship takes a backseat in the Furious 6's Domeless with the trying to stop and the anemia as a lady from running with the wrong crew wanna brain does well not a love. He is a new father but that not a huge factor in the movie not until may become a damn in that final act. Should give kudos to the Frenchies for waiting a 6th movie to turn Mia into the kidnapper princess in the castle? It's not a great look for the Mia. I will say the Mia will say that match. It's a shame that there's so little for the Brain and Theodome to do together, especially since our time with the Brain is about to run out with the Furious 7, that's it. What more is there to do with these characters? They are solid with each other, their trust is the resort, their faith in each other, loyalty, and the abilities to tank. Perhaps Fury 6 is just the point in the where Theodome and the Brain thing is exactly what it's always going to be. Not to say there is not beating heart in the movie. It's just not between Brain and the Dome. Instead, it's Storm and Dia as Turtle tries to rescue his former flame from the flaming out. While Lydia herself struggles with the very obvious reality that she had history with Theodome once upon a time, but can't remember a leak of it, even without her memories. Lady. She the same lady as the always tough as nails take no sense from anyone. Is obese authority figures even when it's potentially odd her own determined having ready speaking of the line is very good things indeed and her scenes are some of the best in the full movie beyond Dom and the lady. The other big emotional beats belong to Hannah and the geezer going into the movie Fury 6 would be our last race around the track with Han with the series finally catching up to his Tokyo drive time but I had no idea this would be. Giselle finally left to her death near the the end of the movie, a sacrifice plied to the safe hands. Life was a total shock, especially brutal knowing that Thea were just about to settle down for Thea kind of life Brain and Dear weary settling into. And B. Geyser is sacrificed to herself for a man who is weeks if not days away from death or himself. Perhaps there are some things comforting about Han and the Geisel both winding up in the same place. But regardless, Ida was a left run I did not see coming at all. If I am honest, Geisel death is a big part of 5. I prefer Furious 6 over Fast 5. Even if I am not sure, I did call it the superior movie. But here in the 6th film in the franchise, we lost a core member of Team Torito in a random act of the events with no time for the gluntless, no attempts at apologize. It just happens, and it happens knowing floor that hence the area unpro to impress 2 important pieces are suddenly of the brand. It's not something you see is more successful than all that franchise movie in a Transformer movie. Chances are he will be live again by the time the credits roll, and while death has not always been permanent in the Fast and Furious franchise, just ask Lady. It's hard to pictures how Han and the Geisel could roar back to life after the fairly definite detraction of their final moments. In other words, Fury seeks heart. It has meaningful victory for the villains. Noted just the heroes. The movie have here they have host they have unbelievably action the like of which you won't get anywhere else. The tank busting out of a truck and onto a highway, and Tom Skerritt similarly breathing out of the nose of an airplane are two of the most intense image I will ever seen in a film. But just as important they have guessed the Fast and Furious movie boasts a refreshing will to break the best toy in the toy box conquest, and your feeling be demand. That's my big takeaway leaving Fury 6, and it's a frightening perspective to consider now that there are only one movie left with a pure barkle in it. Movie review. Fast and Furious 6 Adam and the Brain arrive at the hospital just in time for the mere birth. The life is going well for the tattoo client is the walk of a real job. Dom is living with the Elena and the starting over. Everything is flip upside down when Thea hopes show up with a photo of the lady taken days per. Lady is in the employee of the international terrorist oven and is the hook hopes need to get tattoo crew to help him out. The team travels to London where they being to uncover a larger scales plan to construct a device that could cripples and interior a nation's defines network. The clock is ticking as Tom attempts to get a lady back and stop Shaw plan and theory plan in their tracks. Getting through with the Fast and Furious film is beginning to feel like a slow now. Buddha, I am stitching on to make to the 8th. This is not a tribble movie, but it is the tribly forgettable except for the 2 action set pieces. Changing of the story to one about taking down getting through the Fast and Furious. The film is beginning to feel like a slogan now, but I am soldiering on to make to their F. This is not a tribble movie, but it is the timely forgettable except for 2 AC.